Well, good weekend to you. Welcome to Leading Edge. I'm Jerry Anderson. More of Ohio opened this week. In fact, by this past Friday, did you notice you could even get a haircut or eat on the patio only outside of your favorite restaurant. Ohio's governor, quick to close and slower to reopen, has been getting very high marks for his handling of the pandemic. However, state lawmakers this week moved to rein in the powers of the governor's handpicked health director. Some have even attached the word impeachment to Mike DeWine. And get this, most of his biggest detractors are on his own side of the political aisle. A state lawmaker from Toledo joins us ahead. But right now, up first, you know these gentlemen. My first guest is Dr. Rodney Rogers, president of Bowling Green State University. Now, folks, a day after we had recorded last week's show, a day after, came word from this president that Bowling Green State University is moving forward with plans for face-to-face education. They will welcome students physically back to campus this fall. Dr. Rogers, good to see you, first of all. I'm glad you're doing well. We sent them all home in the spring for a reason, a virus. That same virus still eludes a vaccine. Therapeutics fall short of any ironclad results. And the nation's chief expert on infections promises a COVID-19 uptick in the fall. So what has changed from then, springtime, until now to make you change your mind about whether students should be on campus?
Well, thanks, Jerry, for having me on. A couple of things. First, I apologize. I haven't had my hair cut in 6
days. You can, as of Friday. As of Friday. 15th, you're good to go.
I'll find someone. Okay. But you know, I think the big difference and the announcement we made at Bowling Green is we are planning and we intend to be in person in the fall. But the in-person that we are planning for won't be exactly like the face-to-face that we've had in the past.
Yeah.
So the difference here is that we will have time to do the planning, to reduce the risk of COVID-19 on our campus, everything from how we will design the classrooms, the number of students allowed in the classroom, how we manage the health and wellness of our campus community in terms of residence halls, how our dining halls work. So we have now more time to put into place a variety of different public health practices and protocols.
Okay.
And we are making those plans to be in a COVID reduced risk type of campus.
Okay, I'm trying to get there as to what this might look and feel like. Are we talking the same numbers of kids in dorms, the same number of kids in classrooms?
So we're modeling a variety of different approaches. Yeah. One would be to limit the occupancy in the rooms. And we are working with public health officials and our own individuals who are advising us, as well as the state of Ohio, of course, and the other public universities. So the density will be less in our res halls. And then how we schedule classes, you can imagine that most courses will have a hybrid. There'll be some online and some face-to-face. And so we'll be able to balance the flow of traffic throughout our campus, but also make sure that we address the physical distancing that is important. And we've been using the term physical distancing because social distancing is we want people to connect with each other. Yeah. We want it to be physically apart for their own safety and for the safety of their colleague. But physical distancing, we are absolutely working on.
A couple of things. Let's either confirm or dispel some of what is out there, okay? I'm going to toss them your way. I've heard. Jer, I'll bet they were seeing a huge decline in enrollment unless they did this. Did we see that? Did we have students say, I'm not coming back if it's just not going to be online?
Well, I think if the experience that, all of our universities moved to this remote learning literally overnight. And the courses the students finished up, and I admire our faculty and staff who quickly pivoted. But the fall, if we were to be in a more online, if let's say there was this huge spike and somehow something changed that made us think it isn't safe, we would be in an online environment, of course. But the planning that we are doing will make that, think of more of a virtual residential experience. So it will be much more robust than what they witnessed the last part of this term. And therefore, I think especially if the entire state of Ohio is in an online environment, I think our enrollment, which is stable right now, and part of it is Bowling Green has been one of the fastest growing public universities in terms of enrollment over the last 5 years,
and rightfully so.
Well, and so in many ways, we do think there will be a kind of an overall decline, but part of what we're thinking is it's more because of the financial implications that may be occurring to the family member.
Sure, family finances have changed without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Let me toss this one at you. The president of the NCAA, that's the National Collegiate Athletic Association, it is college sports governing body, says if schools don't have students on campus, they can forget about playing sports. He is Mark Emmert. Is that a factor?
Yeah, no, it's not a factor in our decision making about whether or not we will be face-to-face or not. Our thought was, we as a country need to get moving again.
Yeah, we do.
And I think if we can deliver, and our planning, I can tell you there is a lot of work going into this planning to reduce the COVID-19 risk on our campuses. And in many ways, here in Bowling Green, we're in a fairly low population density part of the county, part of the state. And so we want to use that as another aspect of making sure that what we're delivering here is a safe experience as we can provide our students, but our students can get on with their life. They can get the degree. They can start their college education.
All right, take a break. He is Dr. Rodney Rogers. By the way, I like the new longer due a little bit. Not why I had him on here, but we're going to talk. We're going back to school in the fall. So is the University of Toledo. Based on recent announcements, this is Leading Edge. We're back with more right after. We're back in Leading Edge. He is Dr. Rodney Rogers, President, Bowling Green State University, home of the Falcons. And yes, the students are coming back this fall. Will we be testing people, Dr. Rogers? And if so, who? Students, faculty, employees, who?
Yeah, as we are doing our planning around being open in the fall, is we're looking at the model of testing, tracing, treating, and if we saw a case on our campus in terms of isolation, making sure that we have that as an option for our students. We're working with Wood County Hospital as well as Wood County Health and other system hospitals to look at what the options may be on testing and what type of testing. We've got to think about, as we learn more and more about this virus and who it impacts and maybe who has been impacted but has recovered successfully, we've got to think about, the antibody tests and those sorts of things as well, of course. But we also have to think about those individuals in our communities that may be, because of their own immunity and some underlying health, they may be more at risk than others. So that's true for students, but it's also true for our faculty and staff.
Well, I'm just thinking of this
work around that issue.
The scenario in which a BG student, it comes down with flu-like symptoms in the fall. Guess what, folks? It's fall in Northwest Ohio. We get the flu at that time, but they're really not feeling good. And right away, people, coronavirus, don't jump to that conclusion. Can we test them? And if that comes back positive, do all the people in that dorm, everybody they've had class with, do they at that point have to be quarantined?
Yeah, I think that is part of the work that we're doing now to make sure that we are following best practices and what is the best protocol of doing that. So the answer is I don't quite know yet, but I can tell you those are the questions that we want to make sure that when we open in the fall, we know the answers and the protocols we're going to follow if something like that would happen.
Okay. This puts us both in a tough position. Folks know we're not sitting here on Sunday morning at WTOL. I'm talking to you 2 days in advance of, we've been looking at the 15th of the month as a day that we're going to learn the specifics on a tough situation. This thing is it's hitting everybody hard, and certainly higher education getting slammed as well. So I can't ask you 2 days in advance of that announcement to be very specific, but how would you at least characterize the depth of the cuts we're going to have to make? We don't want to make, but we have to make at Bowling Green State University.
Right. You know, whenever you have to make decisions like this that impacts employees and their families, these are incredibly difficult decisions that no one likes to make. But with the reduction in the state share of instruction and the state budget challenges, and we believe because of the financial economy that we have now, that some families may not be able to afford a Bowling Green education, that we assume we're going to see a dip in enrollment. So we've done our modeling based upon our best estimates of what that is going to look like. And we have, you know, one advantage Bowling Green has had, I mentioned earlier, you know, we are one of the fastest growing public schools, so public universities in terms of enrollment. And so we're in a pretty strong financial position right now. And so we're in a position to be able to stretch this deficit that we're projecting over 2 years. And so we're taking some temporary cuts and then more permanent cuts this year. And that gives us more time to be able to do planning and to see what actually happens this fall. So cuts that we're taking this year will be deep, and we will need to make some reductions, certainly in personnel. We are trying to be very strategic on that, and by that I mean is we have a variety of you know, world-class academic programs. We want to make sure we support those world-class academic programs. We have found ways that I think we have reduced some administrative costs and structure. So a lot of our savings will come from some administrative restructuring, and then this next year we'll begin to work on some other ideas to find more efficiency. But some individuals will be losing their position.
In the meantime, folks, the Falcons, the student body anyway, the Falcons are coming home to the nest in BG here in Wood County. We're excited about it. We want to do it smart. We want to do it safe. We want to do it with everybody's health and best wishes in mind. Dr. Rodney Rogers, Tufts, I can't imagine what it's like to be in your position, but thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for spending time to walk us through it. And we'll see you out on campus. And as they say around campus, I Ziggy Zumba.
Yeah, Ziggy Zumba, Jerry. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.